Initially, I knew that I wanted to go back to grad school, so I started researching, and I ended up choosing the K-State program just for a variety of reasons. One, it was online, which made it very flexible for me to still have a full-time career, but it also provided the opportunity to come on campus and network and engage with my peers and with the faculty here as well. And also just wanted to stick with a university that had a strong reputation and especially had deep roots in agriculture.
Thank you for joining us here on Agri-Pulse.com, where we're joined as always by Agri-Pulse Executive Editor Phil Brasher, as well as this week by Arkansas Senator John Boozman. And Senator Boozman, we appreciate you taking a little bit of time to join us here because a lot of things going on in Washington and in foreign policy specifically. And want to start on something that we've been watching for quite a while, as have you and many of your colleagues. That, of course, being the prospect for additional coronavirus relief legislation across Capitol Hill. That was, one of the main sticking points in July, and it remains a sticking point in September. But this week, we did see the Problem Solvers Caucus come out with a legislative proposal. We saw some social media suggestions from the President of the United States on the subject. But as we sit here right now, do you think, we heard from the chairman of the House Ag Committee yesterday that he was skeptical we were any closer to a deal. Where do you sit on that subject? Are we inching in that direction, or do you think we're still a ways off?
No, I think we're a ways off, and I would very much like to strike a deal. The Republican Senate came up with a plan that was very targeted. The good news there, $20 billion additional aid for agriculture. So there's a real recognition, and that part of it, if we could have a standalone bill because of the hard work of people like yourself, educating people as to the importance, the plight that the farmers are in right now, providing that aid, educating members of Congress. There's really a lot of bipartisan support for that. So that's the good news story. Bad news is we're in the crazy time of the year right now that it happens every 4 years with the presidential election. This year it's on steroids. And so as a result, I don't see us, we're going to do a continuing resolution to fund the government, which starts again on October 1st. You would think that we would be able to tell the agencies what kind of money they're going to get before now. It's no way to run a business, and government's not a business, but it's no way to run anything. So we'll probably extend that till about December 17th or 18th, and then, get a lot of stuff done once we come back after. And I suspect that part of that will be some sort of a package. I say all of this literally 10 minutes from now, a deal could be struck that we could all live with. But so far, it's been difficult.
Senator, USDA, of course, been making these coronavirus relief payments out of their Commodity Credit Corporation account. They have what looks like enough money, $14 million on hand to make the second round of payments that will be coming this fall. But a lot of the farm groups are concerned that without a new bill, without some replenishment of that CCC account in the next few weeks through continuing resolution or whatever means, that USDA could run out of money to make the farm payments that are due, the farm program payments and the Conservation Reserve Program payments that are due in October. As one analysis came out this week by the Farm Bureau and American Soybean Association, said they might have as little as $2 billion on hand in October, way short of what they would need. Where does that stand? Are you going to get that CCC account topped up?
Yes. And what I've advocated for, and I think I can speak for Senator Hovren, Senator Roberts, us talking to USDA, the Secretary, and Undersecretary Northey, people like that, what we've advocated for is going ahead and spending the $14 billion that we have in the account now, and then topping it back up. If we don't spend the $14 billion, the replenishment will be $16 billion. Does that make sense? To come to 30. Mm-hmm. So we would lose the ability to use the $14 billion that Congress has allocated for this year. So I'd like, we would like to spend those dollars, encouraging the Secretary to do just that, providing the support that our farmers need, and they desperately need it. I was probably in 30 some odd counties in Arkansas of our 75 counties over the August recess, visiting with farmers, visiting with small businesses, So, we need to get that done. So what we'd like to do is go ahead and spend that money now in the next several days, and then look to Congress through the continuing resolution to fund government, to then top that back up to the 30B.
So you would then thereby have plenty of money in October to make the payments that are due.
We've got ARC, PLC, as you say, the conservation programs, and certainly, we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate the hard work of the Secretary trying to figure out. But we're also looking at who's fallen through the cracks. We've provided farmers lots of money that's been very, very helpful in visiting with them. Some of them, though, have for one reason or another, either not being eligible for some reason, trying to help make those eligibility requirements so that USDA can be helpful. So lots going on.
Mm-hmm. Something was in the news this week was a report from the Government Accountability Office looking at the market facilitation program, the trade assistance payments that were made for 2019. This report was requested by Debbie Stabenow, who's the top Democrat on the Senate Ag Committee. She's been very critical of how that money was allocated. The report found that, not too surprisingly, that some large farms in the South benefited from increase in payment limits, and farms in Georgia, the average payment was $42,000, which is the highest in the country. And this, Senator Stabenow believes this backs up her contention is that this program was skewed toward the South, states like your own and others. How do you, cotton growing states in particular, what do you say in response to that?
Well, this goes back to 2019, and the reason for the market facilitation payments were damage that was done to the farms based on our trade war with China, which again, the president's done a good job of holding them accountable. That's, the agreement that they came up to, the $39 billion would be tremendous. We're seeing lots of sales right now. That's a very positive thing. But when you look at, what was hurt, soybeans, cotton, things like that, those crops are grown a lot in the South. So it wasn't a matter of the Secretary picking out, this and that. Well, we're going to support the CFAP payments are a little different, okay? That had to do with coronavirus, but this was again based on trade with China. So the entities that got hurt got the payments. And a lot of soybeans and things like that are grown in the South. Although, when you look at the actual dollars that went out, places like Iowa, Kansas, Illinois, Texas being such a huge state, but Texas lower than some of the others. The states that actually got the most money by far were the Midwest. Rightfully so, because they have so many farmers and they grow a lot of soybeans also. They grow a lot of corn and things like that. So I think that is purely a political ploy and really doesn't have any merit at all. And I'm sad that we're in a situation of trying to, to do those kind of things. We need to, we need to move on. We need to do the best we can to support all of agriculture. But I think that's purely plain politics.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to look ahead a little bit before we let you go. You're in line, obviously, to become chairman or the top Republican on the committee, depending on which party controls the Senate in the next Congress. We've had some pretty substantial payments to farmers in the last couple of years because of what we've been talking about, the trade war with China, and now the pandemic and all of the disruption that caused. But economists are predicting that these commodity prices are not going to come up that much over the next couple of years. Gasoline demand is not going to recover for a couple of years, is at least the expectation. What do you think, if anything, Congress should do and the department should do in the next year or so? Because you don't have another farm bill coming up until 2023.
Well, I think we're really going to have to look at the entire picture. And the farm economy was weak going into the trade war, and then COVID came. and was really exacerbated with the none of us, I don't think, realized how the food supply chain, would affect various commodities. And so as a result of that, I think we have to start looking outside the box and really trying to figure where we're going to be, not just next year, but several years down the line, the farm economy. So it's going to take, people like you all and all of us working together to try and figure that out. The good news is that I think because of working with our fellow people in the Senate and the House and this and that, there is a real realization now that you don't get your food out of the grocery store. You get it from farms, and it's a lot of work, and there's a lot involved in that. And so there's a lot of support for the agriculture community. I think 40% of the income that farmers received last year was payments, from the federal government. This year, the actual farm economy, when you look at the total numbers, is 20% higher. Whatever the latest statistics were that came out recently. And so again, all of that, not all of it, but much of that is attributed to the federal government. We're running a $3 trillion deficit this year, $1 trillion deficits going into that. So it's something that's a real challenge. I also think it's a real opportunity, again, to think outside the box and see what we need to do structurally to get agriculture back on a very firm footing. Don't really want to open the farm bill again. I think we can do that outside. I really feel like once you start doing that, then you set the precedent that every time something comes up, that's a contract that we've made with the farmers, and it's going to be in the future. The rest of those years, very, very helpful. But I think what we'll see is continued support from government in the way that we're doing it now, but also working very, very hard. And this is not a Republican or Democrat thing. This is a very bipartisan effort, and will be, in making sure that we do what farmers are doing for us, providing the safest, cheapest food supply in the world. And that's something we all can be very, very proud of.
Senator, I want to wrap up, kind of dovetailing off of the question that Phil just asked you, but looking more broadly than just the farm economy. Obviously we've been in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic for the last 6 months or so now, and you mentioned it in your response there, kind of a heightened awareness of the American food system, its benefits, but also some of its issues and some of the perhaps some of the shortcomings in the current structure of the system that we have now. I wonder, as the potential next chairman of the committee, nothing, this is Washington and nothing is official until it's official, but as someone who could have that gavel here in January, how did what we learned the last 6 months inform the committee priorities that you would plan to pursue as again, potentially that committee chairman?
Well, I think it's really identified a lot of problems that we have. We need more competition in the packing industry, things like that. Our producers have been hurt in that regard. I don't think anybody realized or most of us didn't realize the food chain and how that worked. You sell a lot of milk, people drink it, but most of that milk goes into making mashed potatoes and stuff, which we generally don't make at home as much as we used to. When I was growing up and you ate 3 solid meals at home, so much of that goes into the restaurants and the institution. And as those were closed down, we had a tremendous problem. It's going to take a while for those markets to come back. We've lost a lot of restaurants. 1 in 4 of the people that are unemployed now are in the restaurant industry. So I think we've learned a lot. There's a real trend now towards local production. That's a new phase of agriculture that I think that we can really, help as it grows. So there's all of these different things that are going on that we're going to have to identify. But some of the specialty crops, if you're a catfish farmer, 60% of that goes to the restaurants. You eat a lot of catfish where I'm from, and in fact, I'm looking forward to going home to Arkansas this week and eating some more. But you don't generally buy that and cook it at home. And so we're going to really, again, working in unison, Republicans and Democrats, and then all of the different sectors, try and figure out how we can put some programs in place to continue to support some of the challenges that we've identified. And there's numerous challenges, but the good news is that I think there's a real willingness to jump in, and hopefully at the end of this, we'll be stronger than ever in having identified some of these things and marching forward.
So obviously a very busy week in the middle of a very busy month. A lot of different things going on in agriculture and otherwise. And Senator Boozman, we appreciate you taking a little bit of time to join us.
Well, thank you as always for having me. We appreciate the great effort that you all do in making it such that the farm community better understands what their government's doing, which is certainly important.
For Senator John Boozman and Phil Brasher, I'm Spencer Chase. Have a good one.